Oh, it's working. Good. Hello, guys. Sorry for the uh, technical difficulties. We are back live on simulcast on RetroSynth as well, and we just finally got that key working. Uh, yeah, no, I think it's just delayed memory design. I think we're up as far as I know. Um, I am here with house music legend DJ Dagwood. He's a good friend of Bad Kill Records and has a decades of experience in the industry. Todd's on a vacation, so when we have vacations, me or Todd bring in a special guest. I like to keep it kind of diverse. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Alex. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So I've been a fan of what y'all do because I've sat behind the scenes and watched y'all before. So this is exciting.
Yeah. Well, everything here. Yeah, I've got our disclaimer up today, so just so this is a new part of the show. Got a little intro. Just want to make sure everybody knows that we're here to help, and we're here. And not everybody can ride the feedback train, and that's cool. I don't. We don't. It doesn't have to be something that you're into. One new thing here is we definitely want to make sure that if you are asking for feedback, right, that you have permission from whoever you are, cool, whoever you're collaborating with. Let's make sure that if you collaborate with somebody, they also are okay with having feedback, because that I don't know that it would be a problem, but you just don't. You want to, be sensitive to everybody's feelings. As art, it's subjective. I don't. I know things. I don't know necessarily everything, but you can take it or leave it. That's kind of what how it goes, right? So anyway, that's the new, and we're super glad to be involved with retrosynth. I'm putting the YouTube chat right up here as well, so we can see that as well. So hey, we're back simulcasting on RetroSynth, and just a reminder, you can submit your tracks in the chat, or you can go to badkillrecords.com/submit to submit your tracks. And that can happen before or after the stream. We have some upfront submissions, which I always, that's always really cool. So I'm happy uh, to kind of have that going on. It looks like we got an upfront from Bending Grid. I'm gonna organize here, and we got 3 other upfronts, so that's pretty nifty. A lot of our retro synth family coming in and doing the upfronts, which I super appreciate you guys. It's you guys are a good collective of just like-minded people. Uh-oh. I'm not as slick with the computer as Todd is. I don't know if you guys knew. He doesn't let me touch things, so I gotta.
You're doing good.
I'm making it work, right? Some Thursdays are a little bit smoother than others, and it especially helps if I show up on time. Watch out. All right, here we go. And does SoundCloud autoplay? Not seeming like they're gonna autoplay. All right. It's not on Twitch. Wow, that's interesting. How could that be? Getting everything to work is a big pain in the butt. I don't want to. But how are you not on Twitch if you are commenting on Twitch? I mean, I don't mean to be, that guy, but like seems like you know seems like we are on Twitch. If I Okay, what's that? What is we don't need that. That. I'm like, well, I gotta download it. All right. Well, whatever. We got this in order. And we're gonna start with Bending Grid. Is Bending Grid anywhere? Like, is he here and all? Uh, that's a great question. This is the studio computer, and I don't even know where to find dark mode right now. You are just gonna harass me, huh? All right, good. Well, you're just panicking, memory design. Jesus. I think I'm gonna hold on Bending Grid until he says he's in the chat. All right. So if anybody, on RetroSynth wants to message Bending Grid and say he's holding up the line, good for him. I'm gonna start with Midnight Rain because I know that you're in the chat. So yeah, let's listen to Midnight Rain and see what we think here. All right, start at the beginning there. Oh no, it just starts like that. Is that too loud or is that okay? All right, cool. There's a nice tom panning here that I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're doing here. I can hear that. Wow. Okay. Well, this is definitely a well thought out production. I'm not gonna. There's no denying that. I have a couple thoughts. Do you have anything that you picked off offhand that you felt strongly about?
I heard the in the mix the panning was really good. It was really good. There's a couple things that I heard that I don't know if this. Am I assuming this is mastered?
I mean, we don't know for sure. We can ask questions. He's in the chat.
Okay.
So like, but let's assume that he mastered it because we don't, unless he tells us otherwise, feel free. I want to say Nacho. I don't know if that's ever right. That's why I've been avoiding saying it, but I know who you are. I like you. Well, we're good. We follow you, as you can see. So, but yeah, so what were you gonna say?
Well, it sounds really good. There's certain things in the mix that I thought were a little dialed back, and it could have been a little bit up front. The little chanty, the voice thing.
Yeah.
Should have, for me, I would have had a little louder, but it was definitely a very nice chill house. Vibe, the chill vibe. Yeah.
Well. Yeah, no, I agree with all that.
I was grooving. I kind of got lost. I forgot.
Yeah, you were like, the best tracks we get kind of lost in, and we almost forget that we're trying to be critical about them because, if you have a good vibe and energy to it, sometimes the things don't have to be as exact to be good. There's plenty of very professional, famous songs that are like, maybe their mix leaves something to be desired, little pieces of it, but if it's such good energy, you look past that. You don't always, really and there's really nothing perfect out there,
True.
It's perfect is so subjective. I have notes that are just, my gut feelings with it. And I'm going to start with the end actually, but I never ever say this. I always tell people that they fade out too slowly for this 80s fade out, which is kind of what they're going for. That fucking, radio pop fade out. This one is too slow. And it starts too early. Like there's a little synth that comes in right about here, guys. And I think that you shouldn't start fading out till then. And you should probably do it like 1.5 times as fast, so like, if it's going, I'm going to play it from here to show you exactly where I'm talking about. Okay. You're already starting to fade out and I wouldn't yet. So right here, well, this like, so right about here, when that gets prominent, that's when you start fading out in my book. And then I'd probably end it maybe here, just a little bit faster, not crazy fast, but just a little bit faster right there. And then at the beginning of the track, there's a missed opportunity for like even a single kick here as you're building. And I kind of feel a little like it was a little bit strange, Yes, the fade out. Look, I can't tell you the fade out is definitely too fast. I would have done it differently. That's what I'm telling you, right? So it's not so over here. Okay, that right there. Okay, so you're doing a transition to like, you got an intro kind of with drums and then you're going into a breakdown, but this transition is rough for me, like there could be at least, there's plenty of things you can do, right? I'm not telling you it's got to be done any specific way, but like there could be an impact. There could be a sub drop. There could be just an air hiss kind of down sweep kind of thing.
But sub drop with the sound too.
Yeah. And basically what I'm saying here is that this feels like stitched and abrupt. And if it's not smooth, then, other people are probably going to feel that way too. Maybe it's very deliberate. That's okay, but I think that you can do better, in my opinion. So, I mean, even just a kick right there would, would make things work a little bit better for me. More of an impact, more of a something, more of an impact, down sweep, a single kick. I mean, something to stitch that piece to the piece before it, and really on my listen, those were the two things that really stood out for me, that part and then the end fade out, the fade out. Other things are all very passable. Although I think that I would say your kick drum side chaining is a little bit weak for my style, and especially when it gets busy, it kind of isn't coming through as much as like earlier in the track. And I can like, I mean, it's actually working okay here, but maybe it's here. No, that's okay. Okay, so maybe it's not, you know, maybe that's only marginally issue. It's very close. It's passable for sure. I might have given it just a little bit more on the kick drum, but some people say I like hard kicks. I'm coming from the EDM world, right? You know, and it's like, to me, the kick's like the loudest thing in the mix, because that's just been ingrained in me through like lots of making electro house over the years. I will say that it's pretty obvious that some of your toms are not using side chaining at all, and that's okay, because it might mess up the flow of the music because it's not on beat, right? It's not on like 1, 2, 3, 4,
right.
like the kick. However, because you're doing that when it is very busy towards the end of the track, you need to physically increase the volume of those toms so that they're the same apparent volume as when the track is less busy earlier. You know, like you can tell that the toms are very, very different in volume than the kick in this part of the track. You see what I'm saying there? It's like the toms are in the background, but this is the same, you know, for the listener, this kick drum and this snare and these toms, they should be all the same drum kit, right? You know? So maybe do some automation where you and I do this all the time, where I take those toms in those busy sections and I just take them and I increase the volume and I listen to it by ear, you know, and I try to match it to the kick drum before it, you know. That could be, you know, and this is nitpicky, right? Anyway, I really like it. I think you're doing great things here. I'd even like, you know, if you make those changes, I'd even accept or make some changes and you want to submit it another time so Todd can hear it. I'm cool with that too. But I appreciate you coming in almost every week and having submissions. You do great work, man. So I'm going to go backwards here, and Bending Grid has a remix. Do you have, I hear you may have, there's other people on this remix. Do you think that they give us permission to give feedback, Mr. Bending Grid? I'm assuming you guys have all seen our new disclaimer. I mean, maybe if you haven't, I'll show you one more time. You know, this is our new fun time here. It's gonna just be at the intro. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this story of every time you've ever read a weird rule in your life somewhere, you know, you're like, no, you know, no surfing on the sidewalk. Who was doing that? Somebody. You know, otherwise there wouldn't be a sign there, right? Hey, I think we should just get to it, okay? Like you're a strong spined man, and I think we'll check out your track. You know, hopefully the internet allows us to do it, and I don't have to download it. You know, I do want to know, like, what do you guys think of the new intro? Do you guys see it? Do you like it? What do you think? I just want to say I like what you've done with the kind of pulled back drums in this part. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. All right, all right. That's Bending Grid with an untitled remix that he should tell me what he's remixing in the chat. You know, uh, so I'm wondering what this is a remix of, and secondly, you have time for this remix. Do you have time for an Alex Lightspeed remix? I feel like I've been asking about that. You kind of been, you know, you might owe me. I don't know. Think about it. Just saying. Okay, I got some feelings about this one. Do you want to go first? Because sometimes you might get. I might take yours if you go first.
You give so much in depth detail.
Yeah.
And I'm just on the very minimalistic on the feedback. So I think it's a great track. A lot of different things going on that I could appreciate. It kept me interested. It was a whole vibe, and I like it. So.
Dude, that's awesome. That you know, that kind of feedback's also very helpful because we're trying to understand what listeners going to experience when hearing it for the first time.
Right.
You know,
and I'm coming from a consumer ear. You guys have my consumer ears now.
For sure, so for sure. And
if I heard this out, and I was, because I was vibing right away because.
Oh man, when we started this show, I think like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Every bit of my feedback was very much. That's all that's all I could ever do. You know, and Todd would be over here like chewing people, like just chopping them into bits, and I'm like, hey man, I thought it was good.
That's good work.
Yeah, good work. Now, so I got some thoughts. BG here, and I think that. One thing that I have is that there are moments that I feel like you have some really high end or high pitched synths, and they have some of that like ear fatigue harshness that, and there's only, and I think that maybe could be a little better in my opinion. You know, it's like there are like kind of these like frequencies often between like 3 and 5,000 hertz that kind of that area where like a baby would cry, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you listen to them for too long on a pair of headphones or somewhere, and it's like you're kind of like pulled back, right? You know, if you're at a big sound system, it can be really, really loud, but if there's too much of that weird high frequency, the whole audience is kind of standing back, right? And there are I kind of felt like it was too in the foreground, and that, so you could just fix it by just backing it off a little bit. But if you wanted it that volume, then I'm thinking an EQ dip. Or one of the tricks that I recently learned for some of this stuff like that is I'll run a vocal de-esser on like a synth that has kind of this like high-end harsh stuff. So like it's, you know, it's a VST that's generally designed for getting those S's and those T's out of vocals, you know, right? Yeah. But you can turn it on a synth. It's not illegal. No, it'll work, and it sometimes just, bam, that harshness just gone. Everything else is still there. All the information you want, you know? But it's kind of, it's just not, it was a little bit more in the foreground than some of the low end, you know, at certain points. So that's kind of, those are the only things I'd work on this, is like just trying to balance the high-end synths a little bit better, like keep them in, try to experiment with either EQ or backing them off until they're still like right at the front of the mix, but not in front of everything else, you know? Cause it's so close, you know? Did you say who the remix was with? You said Quack. Okay, wait. All right, so who? Yeah, you still haven't told me who we're remixing here. I'm hurt, you know, not getting all the information. I thought you were gonna give me all the information, you know.
He said he didn't say it.
Yeah, I don't think he said it. He didn't say it. Yeah, he just didn't tell me. You know, secret remix. He's like, I got all these stim packs for you, man. I'm like,
Skylane Drive.
Yeah, Skylane Drive, Laserdisc. Okay, very cool. How much did you make some new additional synths for that? Just out of curiosity, you know. I'm gonna move on to the next thing, but I'd love to hear more about what you added to the remix. You know, like I know that assuming you like tons of this is all unique. You're always in the studio, and you're a very talented guy. So, you know.
Yeah, good work.
Yeah, good work here. What is what the heck is Todd trying to say? What? Just his melodies. This is just maybe his MIDI or something, you know. Hey, this is a Memory Design remix. I know that guy. He's got the quiet drums. He's probably got his drums up in this. I've been hassling him for so long. He probably turned his drums up this time. He knows what I'm gonna say. All right. So how do you say it? Verona Memory Design remix. I'm not a pronouncer. Okay, guys. Oh my God, I can hear the drums. It's a miracle.
begun. I know we've come so far. I make you feel we've just begun. Life hits me where it hurts. I feel like I am cursed. But nothing lasts forever. But nothing lasts forever. Under the road skies, I'll try to close my eyes.
Now that's a way to fade out. That's really nice, very gentle, very 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 clean, very clean, and amazingly, drums that we can hear that are in the foreground. I mean, are you sure you worked on this? I'm just checking, because seems like it doesn't have any of my regular issues. I heard that maybe the sax was a plugin actually, and if it is a plugin, I think people would love to know how you created such a realistic sax from a synth.
Yeah. Now, is this particular artist, is this a band? Because some stuff seemed live.
Yeah. So
some,
my understanding, I'll let Memory Design kind of talk a little bit here with it via the text, but my understanding is that he did a remix of this track. I don't know this artist that he remixed, but it's off, a remix, you'll get a lot of stems. So maybe he got some live instrumentation, So, yes, he sounds like he used Sound Point for the sax, and, yeah, I don't know. What did you use from the original track? And is the original track, anything like this? What's the style of it here? Did you do the drums? Even if it was drum stems, I'm just impressed that he put them at a higher volume, I guess like I only have one piece of sort of like, there's the main thing that I noticed is that I felt like there were a lot of times that the hat was a little bit like, it was a little bit too much in the mix, and I'm not sure if it's the volume or the fact that it's maybe hitting like more frequencies than it needs to, often, when I'll work on a project, I will, just pass a hat to so it's you're only hearing, it at full range after 5,000 hertz, like I'll kind of just carve it. So even though it doesn't sound right on its own, those are the only frequencies you tend to hear in a mix, right? And so it just doesn't add any mud over your other synths and stuff. So like, I guess my thought about that hat is that I might turn it down just a little bit, or I do some EQing on it, you know? But it's, it's a pretty much a vibe for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was well put together.
Yeah. Often nowadays, the people that really like the show are the most talented artists that like to show off at this point, they come back every week being like, let's see if you got something for this
now. Yeah.
It's like the easiest things to give feedback are the tracks that need the most work, and so sometimes the people that really, and we get those too, but not as, I encourage you all to come in earlier stages in your work in progress so that we can kind of, it's like we got a back and forth going. We work together, then we hear the final product another week, and it's just, it's like our camaraderie has really improved the whole thing,
This giving feedback to artists about their music, especially how deep you go into it, that's amazing. Like, they need to have more of this, out there, because artists need to hear you from a professional standpoint, and then it's constructive criticism.
Right. Well, right. And, just to be real open about why me and Todd even do this, it's because, for over a decade, we've been struggling making music with really no feedback and no help, and it's like, sometimes, it's like there's just all these simple things that make stuff so much better, and you don't know if you don't know, and it's not always easy to find out, Sure. And it's like, where would I be if I had somebody like me earlier in my career, kind of like helping? I just hope that I can help people not have to spend a decade to get to where I'm at. And honestly, I hope that you guys, you guys blow me out of the water, exceed what I'm doing, and but definitely help others when you get there. Right. Or even, and a lot of you guys are good enough that sometimes the thing to know is that even when you are a real professional, it's so much easier to see, what might need to be done in somebody else's work than your work, because you're so close to it. And you're just in your head about it, and so, get your artist friends together and, I hope that you're sending stuff back and forth to all your friends that are producing, right? And getting just one-on-one feedback from them too, because all that will help you do better. The more you accept, that you're able to accept feedback in without it hurting you, because sometimes you may hear a piece of feedback and be like, you know what, I just disagree with that. Right. It's not my vision, and you still you don't have to follow every piece of feedback you get, sometimes maybe you do know better. Right. You can send songs right in the chat, or you can go to badkillrecords.com/submit. I hope that is helpful for you, Dave. Just kind of my quick thoughts. I also felt like maybe when I put it on the PA, and not the PA, but the studio speakers, I felt like there was a lack of kind of low mids, just a little bit. It was a little hollow in that kind of
I noticed.
You noticed that too, right? Yeah. It's like, it kind of, you don't want to take something that's so well constructed like this, that like you've done here, and then be missing just a obvious kind of element that would just really fill it out. So I don't know, I might have mixed this down just slightly differently and concentrate a little bit on making sure that the bass kind of shine through as well, and then just that cymbal thing. But as far as the thought about the overall construction, I'm pretty happy with it.
It's a very nice put together track. So
Right. Yeah. You see that Todd's lecturing over here.
Yeah, he's on me.
He's on you. He's
Can
like
you hear me
Dagwood
now?
ain't doing good enough.
He's too dialed back.
Too
Okay,
dialed
here I
back.
am.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, we're coming in with Ness Daniels with Running and Waiting. I don't know if Ness Daniels has made. Oh, they're in the chat. They're in the chat. Or on YouTube. All right, Ness Daniels. I would love to hear this. I'm excited. Yeah, you might just experiment with that, Dave. I think that sometimes I need to try something, and sometimes even if I think it's going to work, it doesn't work. So if it doesn't work and it makes it worse, don't be relying on the fact that I said maybe it needed a little bit low mid, more low mids, but do try to see if you can fill that out, because I think there's room in that mix for it. I like that symbol right there.
Wow.
Wow, that's very, very cool. I really
Yeah.
like how that kind of echoed out. You want to go first or second?
Well, immediately when I heard this, it took me back to my high school years.
Yeah.
In the 80s. Yeah. So and then I'm thinking about me, what I would, if I was playing that record, probably come behind it with White Wedding. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole vibe.
No, yeah,
it's
dude,
definitely.
it's a lot of these artists that do.
And I
these
miss
kinda,
the Appreciator. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So that's groovy.
Dude, yeah,
That's
a lot
groovy.
of these artists that do these retro inspired stuff do a lot more. They take a few elements from the 80s stuff and then they have some more modern like drums or other production, and so it sounds like kind of something a little bit different. This is like almost dead on, could be,
that would have been hit record,
right? Could have been,
right? Pat Benatar run
right,
for money.
right, exactly. Could have been, could have been a top 100 hit
sure.
in '86 or '87, right? Like that, or maybe maybe even earlier, because sometimes there was they had a lot of that female stuff all the way back to like '82.
Yeah, but the vocalist, that was pretty good work. It gave it, the way she was singing, it was kind of like she was singing live.
Yes, yes. There was so much texture and feeling in it, and so really, my thought on this is like the issues. So Bending Grid says, okay, turn the vocals up. I don't think it's that simple. I assume there's compression on these and probably multiple layers on a vocal like this, maybe where they're double tracking on the chorus, so it's like 2 layered on top of it. Most pop music, at least on the chorus, has the lead singer singing twice on top of themselves, and that gives it that kind of like
it out.
More powerful feel. But they have to do it really exactly, otherwise it sounds like 2 people, and so it's kind of that trick where they give it almost the exact same performance, and that does it. I think that for this, there's a point where a lot of times the instrumentals get super, super busy, and she's really kind of belting out the vocals, but that's when it goes into the background. So if I was producing this track, I wouldn't necessarily up the vocal volume. I'd automate some of the instrumentation so that it kind of like swings behind the vocal,
Yeah, I can see that.
And in a way that's that's subtle, So like when she's holding out a long note at like an epic thing, as soon as her vocal starts, there's kind of a dip right in that guitar, in that synth, but it's a nice slope so that the ear doesn't think about it, right? You want to unshroud it. Exactly what Bending Grid said. And if you're going to make it more in the foreground, I might just add a little bit more compression to it, but you don't want to add so much that it like takes you out of the, direct 80s pop nostalgia kind of thing. If you take too much compression on this, it'll sound very modern. And then that'll erase some of the sheen that's really the beauty of this track. And so I'm thinking that kind of automation. Now
it sounds back then, and it feels like it was
right,
produced.
Right. And here's another piece of advice that I might use on the master vocal bus. So you can't turn up all of this, because there's moments that she's like screaming, kind of belting out a high pitched note, and it's plenty loud. Louder would be problematic, So what they did back in the day for a track like this, they would record the whole vocal, right? And they would do the instrumental, right? And then there would be a guy on the mixing console, and he'd be a fader rider. He'd be an expert guy, right? And what he would do is he would take the vocals and he would up them when they were quiet, and then as you start belting, they would just move them down, So it'd be this constant dynamic automation that somebody who's really good at that fader riding game, they can just feel it. They play that fader like an instrument, know. So you're automating the gain, right? That's what I'm saying. Well, there is a plugin that I use that's called Vocal Rider, and it basically emulates what that guy maybe would have done. It uses like intelligence, computer intelligence, to basically pull the volume back when it's getting really loud and bring the volume up when it's getting quiet. For a track like this, Vocal Rider might be the win, because you wouldn't have to add more compression to the vocal, but you would get like a little bit more out of those dynamics, So that's just kind of, so I think with the unshrouding, this vibe is great. This production, I love it. I like I don't have any problems with any of the synths or the drums. I just think that your balance between the vocal and the instrumental, like that's that last thing that, you know, takes it from 95% to like, this is unstoppable, you know?
Yeah.
And so I encourage you to you know, kind of think on that. If you need more information about the Vocal Rider plugin, you should be able to find it. You know, I think it's a Waves plugin. If I had to add a guess, and I could, if you want more information in it, I'll pull it up on screen. Just let me know in the chat. Okay. Yeah. Also, duplicating the vocal and panning left and right, hard panning left and right, is an option as well. Lumini is mentioned in that. But absolutely great work. Nest Channels. I don't know if I've even seen you in here before, but I've heard so much about your music on with other RetroSynth artists. So I would love to have more of your stuff in here again and get to know you better as an artist. So don't ever be afraid to come back and submit. I love stuff like this. Really
Shout
cool.
out Ness Daniels.
Yeah.
Good work.
Absolutely great work, you know. All right. Oh my gosh. You know what? We got one over compressed track from Atlas Neon coming up. Like that's what that's my running joke. He likes it too loud, maybe, you know. Uh-oh. What am I doing here? Oh, no. All right, before I forget this, I don't like to pause things in the middle, but occasionally I do, you know, just to make sure that I say something. I think that cataclysmic event, vocal sample, if that's going to be in there, it needs way more wetness on it. It needs like some reverb, some tail, some like it's out of place without more blending in, you know, just a thought here. Really good work so far.
Seismic disruption.
You got that kick fill here, right here. I would experiment with a frequency filter, like in or out of that kick fill. So either the kick fill becomes clearer, like starts filtered and becomes clearer, or starts clear and becomes filtered, but it's kind of a little bit, you know.
Seismic disruption.
Oh, you did a little bit of it, actually. You did a little bit of filtering, but I don't think it was enough. That's all I'm saying. you do a sub drop there? Like, seemed like could have had one.
Danger.
Whoa, that's a choice. Okay, that was a choice right there. Don't you guys feeling that here? That's I don't know if just ended on like a bongo or something here. Like what are you doing to me, man? Okay, so I mean, first of all, great work. I really appreciate. I have seen the new Dune movies, and I really like that you pulled that sample of that kind of chorusy, like that's a vibe, and you didn't do the thing where you've got you're taking a sample of something and your genre is so different than that it just doesn't mesh, and I think that sometimes that I feel that kind of stuff from you. This is good. I like the sound you picked. I don't know if you mastered it too loud, only but if it's over -6 LUFS average, then I mean, just once, could you special master something for me that isn't like atrociously loud? Just once. Maybe this is it though. It could have been -6 LUFS. My guess is that it's like between 4 and 6, but that's just a guess.
I personally like the record. I will say this has a lot of character, and that would be my music. Me on the way to the strip club, and I just got paid. I'm listening to that on the way. I'm fired up. So that's a whole groove. Good work.
Yeah. No, I mean, dude, Atlas is very talented. The most talented artists, if they're here every week, they're getting the most pokes from me for sure. What was I had a couple of those comments. It's some of your you had vocal samples, and then you had these kind of like vocal samples that I told you were too dry. I stand by that, except for maybe right before the drop. Maybe you could have a little less wetness there, but when it's just echoing into a breakdown, just a field of, sound, like emptiness kind of thing. We want more from that kind of stuff. We've got room, right? We got room for that kind of stuff. And I really like this, actually. I think you're onto something here. I don't feel like it quite had as many effects as I might have used. Like more like I'm thinking maybe more just more kind of sweeps.
Oh, he said it was a real vocal. Amy did the
it's a real vocal. Well,
she did a great job.
Yeah, that's amazing. But you know what? It could still have more wetness. I believe.
Okay.
I mean, especially the stuff that we record ourselves. I mean, if we just recorded what came out of the mic, right? And it had no effects. It'd be pretty dry. We want it to kind of go out there. You know what I'm saying? Just like really deep into the cavern, right? Because it's like kind of an outside like mood, like like if you're inside, you're in a big cave, or something, like it's tribal, it's not in a small dry room, that's all I'm saying, right? He's got a whip too. We have enough time for your whip bending grid. We got enough time for it, Okay. All right, guys. We got look. I'm here to my regulars. I normally cut off submissions right now, but like I'll be here. But at 8:30, no matter where we are, I'm shutting you down. If I'm still here at 8:30, I'm going home. So which is an hour and 9 minutes for you guys on the other side of the planet. You know, dude, you're great, Atlas. You're doing great. You know, I'm really impressed with your growth. Actually, very 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 cool. Nobody has mentioned the intro video yet. Does anybody? What you know? Nothing on that. You know, I Todd did it. He's a great guy. He does stuff for us. He really worked hard on it, even though he didn't want to. I was like, we should make an intro video. And by that, I meant you should make the intro video.
Shout out Deformaty.
Yeah, he said, he's like, oh, we can get to that. Not this week, though. And then you know what's happening this morning? He's working on that intro video. I was laughing. I was like, yeah, he wants it to be good. He wants it to be good. Oh, you want to see it? I can show you an intro video, right? Like, hold on. I'm gonna. We'll do it one more time since you guys haven't seen. No, we're gonna play it a few times this time because it's relevant. Okay. Yeah, so that's our new disclaimer, you know. Very important to have permission, you know, before sharing work that involves other artists. And also, don't take me too seriously, because I'm just trying to help, you know, just trying to like be the force that, you know, helps us all grow faster. But I think that, you know, I think we all kind of know that. All right. Anyway, we're gonna move right along to Kojak with "See Through You." I think in Twitch you got. Oh, I see your whip.
Where were you when I needed you? You promised that you would see this through. Where were you when I needed you? When I needed you, you promised that you would see this through. How I see through you. Where were you when I needed you? You promised that you would see this through. Where were you when I needed you? You promised that you would see this through. How I see through you. Where were you when I needed you?
Just checking the sub.
When I needed
I just checked the sub to see if it's got it. You know, you can't get that in the headphones all you.
How I see through you. You promised that you would see this through. How I see through you.
All right. Well, Very cool, Kojak. Yeah, I mean, I have some thoughts, but before I even get to that, this moves
Yeah.
bodies. I like that. Definitely an inspired idea here. How do you feel about it?
That's amazing. I will play that. So, Kojak, if I can get you to email me the track, I would definitely support and rinse it every chance I get. My email is djdagwood@gmail.com.
We'll put that in. Where is he? Was he on? Okay, here we are. Is it underscore?
No, just djdagwood@gmail.
At 2Gs?
No, 1G, WOOD.
All right. Nobody said I was a good typer, okay?
You're good.
All right. Anyway, I got notes. Like, I always have notes, right? No, I don't actually, but sometimes I do. Look, as somebody who's produced EDM for a long time, this is a personal opinion. Okay?
MP3 will be fine.
Yeah. I think that the kick in a track like this should be just about the loudest thing in the mix.
A little bit more present.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and you missed an opportunity here to like really drive this idea by having it just a little bit back. Like, I think the kick needs another decibel 2 maybe. And it seemed sidechained. So like, it wasn't a sidechaining issue. It just seems like, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's a little bit back, Do you want, Benny Grid asked the question, you want to answer that?
I play several subgenres. I'm kind of all over the place because I'm open format, different things like that, but typically deep house, bass house, jacking house, tech house, definitely. And then, like, I'm just starting to get into drum and bass,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dude, I hear your sets are fire. It's like been doing it a long time. How long have you been DJing?
Ooh, okay. So I started DJing. I was 14 years old. That was 1984. So yeah.
Man, you've been doing it
It's
a
the beginning.
long time, man. How many? What are some of your favorite DJ moments? If you had to pick a couple of them, who people you played with, like shows you played,
Well, in Thailand, I did a great show in Pattaya, in Bangkok with Chippy. He's another pioneer of house music. We did a show out there. It was phenomenal, and the club was so massive. So and I was just surprised that they were grooving to Chicago house. So it was amazing. Other than that, the work that I do with Ghetto Blaster, damn it, sometimes I can't remember the names of these festivals. Well, one that we had in Chicago, and it was phenomenal. It'll come back to me. But Bending Grid, like, I play a lot of different subgenres. So if you got something you think I'd be interested in, please send it.
Yeah, it's a I know that we haven't hung out a ton, just me and you, but
Yeah.
I know that you are a legend of the house scene, done a lot of stuff, and you're so humble, you don't necessarily go out and be like, hey, I've done big things, and I think the best artists,
I'm very dialed back. I'm very humble,
dude,
but
like the best artists are, like you just let your work and your and the things you've done kind of just speak for themselves,
Yeah,
right?
as you should.
Like, you shouldn't have to tell people.
No.
People if you're doing amazing things, people notice. You don't have to constantly be. We want to promote our work, but we don't want to, promote our ego.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm without ego about everything, and I'm more about community, collaboration, chemistry, connection. So it's a whole vibe. So I'm always humbled in these situations, just even making music, because people don't have to like what you do, But when you're good at it and they give you, so I don't need the validation, but I just love that my records are played, so whoever's supporting, thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Wait, what's your favorite record that you put out, or your track that you put out over the years? Something that did really well, or like kind of, or just some of the more obscure stuff is your favorite?
You know what? I have a hard time with that because I've made so many cool tracks, but it's always the ones that hit are the ones that I think are just not going to work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're very simplistic, like the record I did, Bounce Your Body. I'm like, I don't get it. Even my grandson, he's in the back seat of the car. Granddad, bounce your body. I'm like, okay. So I have to play it for him, but that one worked pretty good. And then, there's been a few things. Back in when I was doing hard house music, 97, 98, I did a track called My Baby Wants to Ride on Underground Construction Records. That one was definitely like a good one. So I've been in this space for a long time, y'all, and I'm such a hard critic on myself. So a lot of things I've done have been really cool, but some of them stick out because it's the people's choice, So y'all let us know, But this year, I think that was March 10th. I had the opportunity of having a release on Bad Kill Records. Me and Deformaty, we made a track called The Mechanism, and it was a great experience because Deformaty picked me up from the Amtrak here in Portland, and then he said, "I got something I want you to work on with me." So we got here, and he let me hear, and I'm like, I'm thinking his house, but it was drum and bass.
Yeah,
so I'm like, whoa. And then when I listen to drum and bass music, it's so like, it sounds like you're in a movie. So when I start listen to it, I close my eyes, and then it took me 3 minutes to write that vocal. Sat right here, laid the vocal down, and it was just a whole vibe. And I was so excited.
I really like that track. It's so different than a lot of stuff Todd does because your presence is really permeating with that energy that you've got. Hey, would it be crazy? Could I play this is this it? This Bounce Your Body track?
Yeah,
Can I play it for the people?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna just I'm just gonna come in here, and I'm gonna do a little bit, just like, I see how it's kind of like, it's so simple, but it's got a lot of.
It's so simple.
Right.
And sometimes less is best,
Bounce your body to the wall. 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 Bounce your
Yes, that's me on the vocal.
Bounce your body to the wall. Bounce your body to the wall. Bounce your body to the wall. Bounce your body to the wall.
Bounce your body to the wall.
Bounce your body to bounce your body to the wall. Bounce your body bounce your body to the wall. Bounce your body to the wall. Bounce your body to the wall. Bounce your body.
That's that weird. What is that? Like, it's like not a cowbell. It's something.
Body to the wall.
It's just every now and then. Yeah, it's 808. 808 cowbell. And shout out to Ghetto Blaster. Paul Anthony, DJ Paul Anthony of Ghetto Blaster, my great collaborator. He's amazing,
Dude, sometimes the best stuff is you take two great artists, right, and you like combine your skills. You know, I believe in collaboration. I think not collaborating is a missed opportunity for every artist to learn a little bit from somebody else's kind of point of view. You know, challenge yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
and then in the space of collaboration, when I first started working with Deformity, it was automatic. Like we have great chemistry in the studio. So it's been a few times everything we made sounds really fucking dope, but he allows me a creative space of freedom. So you know, sometimes you can be in the studio with people and they don't get you, or they just too suggestive and things like that. So especially in the space of collaboration, man. Just
I
be
like
free.
that. We're just got the groove here too, you know, a little bit. Good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for sharing that
Yes,
with
sir.
us. I love to kind of, you know, but by the time we get kind of into, you know, real deep in the show and everybody's in here, if I got a guest, I'll try to, and they produce. It's like you say, it's like, you know, let them kind of, you know, show a little bit about them, and we'll talk about themselves. We're not just trying to. You know, it's a multifaceted show. I go where we want.
Kojak asked me a
right?
question. OSO. I'm fresh back. No, I don't know. Are they from Chicago? Because I'm Chicago, born and raised, y'all.
You were born in Illinois?
Yeah, I'm born and raised Chicago.
Oh, damn, yeah. You know, I was born in Champaign.
Oh, I was just there. I was just in Southern Illinois.
Oh, yeah?
I rode through there because I was on my way to Benton. I went.
I still got relatives in Rockford, and I had
my brother lives in Rockford.
You know, my uncle lived in Chicago for 25 years, and he just moved here.
Oh, wow.
Because he's my dad, so his brother, right? You know, is like his health is kind of failing, so he's like, him and my dad are just like taking care of each other.
That's
you know?
as it should be.
He's like
as
family,
it should be.
kind of they're last of that. You know, they don't have any parents anymore. It's just them. You know, two brothers. You know,
two brothers looking out for each
and
other.
looking out for each other. So, but yeah, I used to travel all the time to Chicago. I'd spend like a week every summer with him. You know, and I
what
check
side
out.
of town did he live on?
So he, fuck. Okay, so you ever watch that? You ever watch that Shameless show?
Yes.
Right. So you know the Golden House restaurant that they're like they
worked at?
That's
on the north
they
side.
work at? Yeah.
That's the north
He was
side.
his condo was behind the Golden House.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I used to I would just walk through the alley and
be
I would
right
go
there.
and have some breakfast. You know, I never
wow.
came in the front door of that place. They got that kind of like red sparkly vinyl seats that were
Okay.
like
Oh yeah, I know.
70s. You know exactly what I'm fucking talking about, right? and then you know the cups,
hard ass plastic.
you know the cups that are they're like brown. You know, they're like they're clear, but they're kind of like they got that sort of like brown tint. You know, kind of tan tint to them. You know, that's the water cup. You know, like I don't know why I'm even bringing that, but you know, I went to a couple clubs sometimes when I was there for a week, you know, because I was there.
What
you know,
year? What year was this?
Fuck, I went there, you know, every summer, probably between like 2007 and maybe 2015 or so.
Okay.
You know, and you know, one of the clubs I went to was called Smart Bar.
Smart Bar.
Dude,
That's
Smart Bar, right? And
Smart Bar.
they had that Function One system, but it was 3D. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's like they had the basebands on every corner.
Yeah.
I've never seen a club so intelligently designed for focusing the sound, and then you walk outside the dance floor, and it's like little alcoves. It's fucking quiet.
Yeah.
You can talk to a fucking person.
Yeah,
You walk
yeah.
into that dance floor, and it's like the best sound you've ever heard.
Yes.
You know,
Smart Bar is on
it's like
Clark Street, North Clark Street.
It's right across from
right down the street from Wrigley
Field.
Yeah,
Right.
it's in Wrigley Field.
Yeah. You get off of Wrigley Field and you go down, and you go down at this. It's like a secret. It feels like a secret because they open up this door and then you're going down under the street.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's this fucking dope club. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody,
You know?
if you ever in Chicago, check out Smart Bar.
Yeah, dude. Memory Design lives in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Or
Shout out to
just north of Chicago.
Okay.
We agreed we were gonna visit. You know, so Anyway, let's get. What?
what Kojak asked me a question. Okay, I think I answered it. Yeah, I don't know them here in Portland. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's from. Yeah. So great work, Kojak. We're gonna go on to Lumini with Japanese Maple's Whip. All right. We had an interesting little breakdown there. Fucking in love with Illinois, apparently. No, I've had some good times in Illinois.
Can't wait to see where this is going. I'm gonna leave this one to you.
Oh man. Wow. I have a hard time, like, I feel like I was concerned that it wasn't like as full of a mix as I wanted it. And then as it went on, it just constantly built. And then I kind of saw the vision as we, got into it. And, I feel like this kind of air flute, you ending with the air flute, I feel like I didn't hear it earlier. Maybe it was in there, but I feel like it could have been featured earlier, if you're going to end with it, it's weird to me to add a new sound, even if it's a sample people know, like right as the track is ending, because it kind of piques people's interest as you're shutting it down, like, generally sounds that I like at the end of a track, I'm also like, oh, it's in the wash in the second drop though. Well, maybe like let it focus like for a second somewhere earlier in the track, so that way it's more of a callback, because it's not as obvious as I might like, And if it's gonna be like that, it should be quieter at the end if you're not gonna focus it as prominently, But this is hard for me to, really. It's got tons of good texture here.
I was confused about what time signature is wrote in.
Yeah.
Because it seems like,
It's kind of like moving
Yeah,
someplace.
yeah.
Are you changing time signatures? That's what we want to know here. Are you? Because maybe it's 80 BPM. Maybe it's just it's no signature change, just 80 BPM. It's 4/4 probably. He's just creative with his drum placement.
Yeah, because I thought it was probably, at first I thought it was wrote in 16th note, but it has some swing to it, and then it almost sounds like it's no time signature, just like, but yeah, it's groovy. It's
ambient kind of texture, and I think for that, it's great. It depends on the application as far as like what more feedback I'd give than that. It's like, where are we trying to put this, But
what style is this?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
what style of what genre of music is this?
Would this go with, like, if you were putting this back to back with something else, what would you even call this? You're like, I'm like, we don't, you're making me feel dumb because definitely don't know. Like, I'm like, just not sure what it's like.
It definitely sounds like something that would be, like sync license, or you find in a scene in a movie.
Yeah. And it's like, what I feel like? I feel like it'd be good in a video game.
Yeah.
I feel like you're wandering or you're doing something where it's
new
not,
version of Roblox.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking more. I'm really thinking, given that he did the Zelda sample, I'm thinking more like, I'm thinking more that kind of like Link Zelda kind of thing. You're definitely big Zelda vibes,
Big
right?
Zelda vibes.
It's like, I think that now that I'm thinking about it, the closest thing I can put to it is like Ocarina of Time, Zelda 64 kind of like you're just exploring, you're in the forest and you're just like
It's definitely interesting, very abstract.
Yeah, I mean, it's abstract for what we normally get at the show. Yeah, right. So, but it has applications. I'm absolutely sure. I just don't think it was something I would just pick up and be like, oh, let me put this on in the car to, groove down to, right? It's really good work. I am always impressed at your creativity. So,
He's a regular on the show.
Oh yeah, okay. yeah. So, I don't know. I keep getting these people. They just keep coming back.
Nice.
They must think that I know something.
They appreciate y'all. Y'all
yeah,
doing right.
I wish I had more for you. And maybe I'm getting tired. I like it. Keep working on it. If you do a lot of changes, submit it again. Todd probably would have more but it's so outside something that I would make that I find it soothing but confusing. That's the kind of where I'd get very soothing though. So and I don't have any mix issues with it. It seems like you got kicks, you got snares, you got a kind of full range. When I went through it again, I'm like, you definitely have things in the whole frequency spectrum throughout the track. So I'm gonna I'm gonna say good work. Not sure exactly what you're trying to do, but I'm gonna move on to Rising Fields. Please, yeah, keep submitting stuff, Lou, and I wish I had more for you. But definitely like your work. Soothing but confusing. Yeah, you can. Yeah. What that you just added the body right copyright Alex Lightspeed. No, you can use that. I'll give you that one's free. Oh, you should have erased it. It's horrible. Can't do it. No, release. You got to give me this stuff before release day. But I will give you my opinion. But I would have loved to have this last week. I bet you already had this written last week. So where were you? Oh yeah, we were off. Well, you're on Twitch, so you're good. You could have found us. See, that transition was fucking great. Like that, so smooth. Definitely had an impact and a downsweep there. Damn. This. I. Did you like it?
I liked it.
Yeah. You got any criticals?
It's a movie. It's a soundtrack. I mean, it's amazing. Good work.
Okay,
I enjoyed it.
I got no notes, man. You know what that means, right?
Hey,
We're gonna give you the Your Did It award.
it's automatic.
This is great. Your Did It. This is a great one, and I'm glad that that you are releasing this one today. And I
That should do
almost had a note, and then you fulfilled my synth dreams.
Was it in the beginning or
towards the end? So he started to have this great epic synth second drop, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, and but it was like, it would pause and it would only give us like 2 notes. And then I was like, dude, you need to run with the synth. Give me a full run of notes. And I was imagining maybe like something a little bit faster pace, but what I got was definitely like a whole run of notes that was really tasteful.
yeah?
And so I almost was like, oh, you know, you should really go for it. But, you know, you went for it in a different way than I expected, and it doesn't need to be changed. It's great, you know. I do think that if you make something like this in the future, when you introduce a new sound like that, if you can surprise people with how much you use that sound or what you do with that sound, that's always good. A lot of times my secret weapon is the Neon Syndicate. I'll have him come in with the guitar and he'll do a few of those slow notes and then he'll fucking just shred over it, you know, and just like take it to a whole new place. But that's not required for a good track. Sometimes simple is the best. And I think you did a great job. And I don't know if you've gotten it, Your Did It before, but this is definitely your day.
Yeah,
You're
sure.
did it for the day.
I came as soon as it was off. I started clapping.
Yeah, so good
work.
fucking work.
Good work.
And no notes on that. You know, we're gonna go to Sonic Relatives, which I forget who. You guys got to put your name in front of it. I think it's, you know, I think I've got. If Pushang, if he got something, then we're closed. If not, then, you know, yeah, I don't know. Like, then we're, then we can do this guy's, you know, Exoterra. I will see. All right. I'll see if we get there. Okay. I'm open. I'm not promising it, but I'm open to it. All right. This is a memory design whip. Oh, yeah. Not following the convention of putting his name in front, though. Make like a banana and split. All right, Lumini, we'll see you next week, hopefully. I just want to say good drum levels. I like that. All right, this noise, very, very harsh. Needs some EQing for sure. Lots of harsh stuff in the high upper register here. You know, maybe check the kind of same thing with that 3,000 to 5,000 hertz, I think. I think I made my notes along the way on this. Just a really good theme. Really liking at the beginning. I felt Terminator vibes. Kind of like move like that kind of this kind of like dark 80s movies kind of thing.
Yeah, well, what I got from it is my perfect background music for me being at the rub and tug.
Yeah.
In the back, just relaxing. But no, good work. I like that a lot.
No, it's good. I think it's gonna be a great piece. Harsh, some of the high-end stuff, but I mean, you're nowhere near done. I love that the drum levels are getting better. I feel like I've beat it into you, and I'm not gonna have anything to make fun of you for anymore. That's disappointing, actually. But we got to keep moving because it's getting late. All right, so we got another one from Nacho Wave. I think this is new. Hopefully, I would know if it's the exact same thing that he played before, but he sent another one here. So I think I'm going to just play it. I'm going to assume that it's...
It's different.
All right, good. Well, I got the last track. Okay, we're gonna keep it going fast here, and we're gonna say submissions closed. I'm sure you heard that's when he squeaked into the harshness there. You know, watch out for that.
One of those long fade outs.
This fade out is appropriate. I like this fade out.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, there is, yeah, okay. I guess I'll let it play. Nope, stop. No, okay. Whew. You gotta have something. This.
Actually, I don't. I kind of don't really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but I could tell, like he is that Nacho?
Yeah.
Okay, like he said, that's one of his first songs he did. So I could tell the other one, he must have just did that one recently, because that definitely sounds like he was working his way up, because the first production was excellent.
Yeah.
So,
well, all right. Well, then I will go on this. So, all right. Remember, we're friends here.
yeah.
So,
Safe
all right.
space.
Well, it's a safe space.
Safe
We're
space.
here to uplift, and we know you're a good producer. So, no judgment here. The drums are weak, very quiet. They give me no strong feelings or movement. So, they're just kind of buried in the mix in a way that's a little bit mushy, a little bit muddy, not super compelling. A lot of the vibe of the entire track, it kind of has this like background, you know, sort of like it should be at best it's like something in the background while you're playing a game or something, you know. It's not designed to be the focus. If
Right.
that's the point, fine, but it's not super compelling, you know. It doesn't, but it wouldn't distract from something else,
Right.
you know. And so if that's the point, then okay. But if it was supposed to be engaging, it's not super engaging for me. Then on the top of that, you know, you're using a lot of delay on some of your main synths, and that's causing the tail ends of them, when there's a pause, to feel like there's a shudder, or sort of like it just feels very indistinct, or like inaccurate, like almost like two keys on the piano are being pushed at once,
Oh.
you know, kind of thing.
Okay.
And I think that the delay needs to be different on the tail ends of things, you know. It's just kind of, you know, I can really point I'm just looking for it. Right there. Yeah, that.
It actually does that twice, where it goes high.
Yeah, when it goes high, it sounds like somebody's putting two off-key keys, hitting them at the same time, but not even at the same time. It's like slightly offbeat, you know. And it seems like it's a delay and a dissonance distortion, but it doesn't work for me. I guess is what, like, that part specifically. So
Like he indicated, it was some of his earlier work. So
Oh
we
no,
get it.
yeah,
We
exactly.
definitely get it.
And you know what's really impressive about this is how much your growth has happened so quickly as a producer. So I'm really commend you on that. And I'll mind listening to something like this because because at least there's things to say. At least it's not Rise and Field coming in here, busting out a fucking you did it perfect track, and then I was like, I don't have any feedback. Like, what am I doing? Or Lumini coming in and like something so obscure that I'm like, I'm outside my element, you know? This is my element, but it's not, and it's not hitting, you know, but it could with more, it could have with more work. And this is how you get from here to there.
Yes.
You know, I want everybody to, one of my best advice Todd ever gave me that I should have took more often, you know, but time is always the struggle, like finding time to do stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But he says, he would tell me back there, he's like, just finish tracks,
Yeah.
just make them and let them be not perfect, you know, make another one.
Yeah.
Like don't hold on to the stuff when you're in this intermediary stage where you're just like, you know, it's not gonna match against people that are already there, right? But you're never gonna get there if you don't produce more stuff. So, you know, get your idea out, learn things, try another one.
Or
you
even
know?
if you, like, I do this a lot of times. I'll do something and then I'll step away from it
Yeah.
and then give my ears some time to come back to it fresh.
Right.
And then I'll hear something that I should have done. Because sometimes when you're in the moment, like,
Yeah. Give yourself some give yourself some space, wait for it, and come back to it. But if it's, you know, it's okay if it's not your best work, but don't leave everything unfinished, you know, just complete it out, you know, and then start another one, you know, keep working, you know, and trust me, not everyone's a banger.
really? Nacho
you know?
says, I've been doing this for about 6 months. Well, hey, you know, that's impressive.
I knew he had just been doing it for a short time, so
Because
I'm giving him.
you know, from the difference between that one and the first one we played.
No, I'm real impressed with you, man.
Yeah.
I love that you're on here, and I'm happy to, you know, have any of your work, you
So
know.
keep up the good work, Nacho.
Yeah, keep it up, and I love seeing all your guys' improvement. You know, I see a lot of that in this just in this show where you guys who come back every week. Sometimes you're just blowing me away. So you know, you start somewhere and then you get somewhere else. So I'm happy to be a part of that in any small way I can.
Yeah.
Let's check out Bending Grid's Dark Synthwave Whip. Let's see what's going on with that. right, all right, all right. So, you know, I see what you're saying. I really thought it had a really compelling groove, to it. But I'm not sure I'm not sure that vocals or vocal samples is the only way you could finish this track out. I think that a lead synth towards the end, when it kind of got repetitive, would also do it. It could be an instrumental. You don't always have to have vocal samples, but vocal samples are good. But the wrong vocal sample can really be detracting from a track too. You don't want it to, you got a good groove here. You don't want to distract from that in a way that you'd lessen its impact. It does give me, you're probably not familiar with this artist, but I agree with Daniel that it gives me Starfarer vibes. He kind of does some sort of cyberpunk-esque, this kind of dark, synth wave kind of work. And I like that. I think it's something that it translates really well live in a crowd when you got really good subs and you got this track doesn't move me a ton sitting here on headphones,
right?
But absolutely would, if you had a big banging system and you were up there and you were theatric about every motion and every phrase, it would move bodies. And I guess that's one thing that I'm thinking that, a lead synth toward the end and just some tidying up would complete this for me without vocal samples. And definitely, but the right vocal sample might be cool. I just can't hear it yet in my head.
It's a very nice track though.
Yeah. Do you have anything you think that might make this more complete?
I think your suggestions were spot on.
Yeah.
Like you say, maybe lead synth, and then like I say, that I'm one of those guys. Since I write and I do my own vocals and stuff, I don't like sampling. So so I would never tell somebody, use these stuff, because a lot of times, a lot of these samples are recycled. You will hear it when somebody will use it in another song and stuff like that. So true. I think that is, while that is true, there's a lot of room for sampling sounds from pop culture that give it some relativity.
To give it some sort of some to trigger some nostalgia, to then allow. Some of this is a balance of some of the best tracks, it's not necessarily the little sample that they use, but if you can create a feeling of it feels familiar even though it's new, sometimes the brain is way more accepting of it. So there is that openness for it, but I'd be definitely careful about just taking a vocal sample off something like Splice or something for this. He's we're gonna be way too many people using that for sure. But I feel like this is a little bit harder than I usually hear from you, and I like that. I think, I honestly saw Starfarer live at Neo, and he gets up there, he's animated, he's in an astronaut costume. You can't see his face,
Oh, that's dope.
It's and he just he's thrusting his arms and just banging. When the shit hits, he's just and you just feel that. And I think, that there's a lot of opportunity there. And I'll check that. I'll check that out. I'll check out that link here, but I'm not gonna pull it up for everybody because I'm trying to wrap up in 6 minutes, and it ain't even gonna happen. So,
well, I'm playing in actually I catch a red eye tonight. I play in Dallas this weekend. I'm flying out tonight.
So how many people do you think you're playing for in Dallas?
I'm not sure. I've never played this. I'm actually doing two things. So I'm doing a day party in Dallas, they're starting to do this whole lot of day parties, and they do them at coffee houses.
Yeah.
So I'm playing at a big place. I don't even know the name of it. I'm so terrible. But then after that, they have this these guys. They invited me to. It's called In the View, and they have their DJ set up in this penthouse overlooking, overlooking the city.
Yeah.
And they have guest DJs come in, so I'm gonna go jam out for them.
Yeah, yeah.
On Saturday.
Are you in Texas, Bennett Grid? Is that what you're saying? Dallas, Fort Worth?
Yeah, Deep Ellum. I'm going to be in Deep Ellum. I know the place begins with a K, but I'm there this Saturday from 10. I'm playing from 10 to 1.
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely in Deep Ellum. He knows.
He knows. He's
he said he used to live there. Okay, for sure.
For sure.
Dallas is a whole vibe. Shout out to DFW.
Yeah. I've been at the airport.
Oh, so you never really
No, I've driven through, but I've never kicked it there.
Oh, look what it say. Not in Deep Ellum, but I did get mugged at gunpoint. Oh man, that's why I'm doing day parties in Dallas. That had to be a nighttime thing.
Definitely be careful out there.
Yeah.
We want you coming back.
Yes, for sure. Wow. Pause it for a second.
Sure.
You know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing I'll Be Sure's Night and Day. I can tell you how I feel about you night and day. Doom, 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 doom. I hear that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you know that record?
Ah, fuck.
I'll Be Sure. Yeah, it's an R&B from I think that was 1988. But yeah, carry on. I'm hearing this because I'm like, this sounds so familiar.
Yeah,
So-
a lot of times. So with the 80s, there's like there's a few synthesizers, right?
Yeah.
But like they're so iconic that it's like you hear something from that synthesizer, it just take you right back.
Yeah, but
that and they don't really make
it's almost in the same key as well.
And it's like once you get to the 90s, they're doing like emulation, but 80s synthesizers, they sound like themselves.
Yeah,
they're like a sound unique to them.
To the era.
I'm so cold in the game. Southside player screwed up, click main. With the body set, you can bet with smooth as a bit. Coming through this man, hold up and split. Some catch me high like that, and some act like they wanna pull a gad. But they better watch out for that boy PAT. Ask them haters, can they handle me? Cause I be so cold in this game, coming down on the swing. Grip wood grain on the shirt, I leave a stain. Cause you try to jack a real true G. Coming down the boulevard, can you see me? Swing and swing and swing to the left. Pop my trunk and hip, hip, hip. Better see it roll. Starts down and I'm rolling on native rolls. Swing and swing to the left. Pop my trunk and hip, hip, hip. Wang, wang and
I didn't expect this.
Neither did I. It's all H-Town though. Shout out to Houston.
Pop my trunk and hip, hip, hip. Wang, wang and swing to the left. Pop my trunk and hip, 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 hip.
Swing and swing to the left.
Pop my trunk for a fat patch death. I would give my last breath if I could bring you back. Bring screw back, out of fact, bring the whole crew back. Only God can do that, so I'ma leave it alone. Moving on, moving to this soothing song. I'm cruising along, still got a screw tape on. Still in the zone, wishing Corey Blunt was home. Riding on chrome, banging with my bub lights on. Riding home, southeast of the Astrodome. Riding on chrome, banging with my bub lights on. Riding home, southeast of the Astrodome. Riding on chrome, banging with my bub lights on. Riding home, southeast of the Astrodome. Riding on chrome, banging with my bub lights on. Riding home, south.
Do I have to mention that this feels really? I mean, earlier fine, but right here feels very like the timing's off. You know, I don't know for sure. I can't swear to it, but it feels odd to me so far.
You talking about the vocal?
Yeah, the vocal.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Vocal timing. Like it's not on grid, you know. I mean, this is fine.
South, so real. G's in PA, G's in the city, G's in the South, so real.
You gotta have something on this.
It was nice. That's what I can say. You know, I'm familiar with the H-Town sound, and yeah, that was definitely a groove. You know, it definitely a work down south in Texas. You know, I will say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I got this thing where it's like, again, right here, the timing just feels so weird.
On that one vocal.
Yeah.
I think that's what they did to put the vocals on top of the track.
Like, see, it's like something is early or late,
that,
you know?
That might be just the way he raps. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that could be. But then if that is the way he raps, right, then maybe we adjust the instrumental more to complement that, because the instrument, if he's rapping a little bit kind of like swing, you know?
I think I'm hearing 2 or 3 different artists on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was the second verse, but yeah,
right. It's like
the first guy was good.
Yeah, it's like if he's kind of swing to his rap, right, then your instrumental is too on grid there, you know. So it's either that's off, or the instrumental's like too busy doing something. It's like it's distracting in some way, you know.
Yeah.
Like so the adjustment of something would be my thought on this.
You know what I do as a DJ?
Yeah.
When I'm in a situation where I really like this record, and then there's one part of it that really don't want to play, and I know I'll lose, you know, I feel like I'll lose my listenership if I played it, you know, so I'll edit. I'm notorious for editing verses and stuff out, or even rearranging.
Oh, absolutely. As a DJ, you know, why not edit your tracks if because you don't need to be, you know what, you don't need to be like mixing from one part of a track to another on the fly, just adding an additional mistake into there. You know, you're not gonna play. Yeah, you know, you shouldn't like.
I'm like, no, I don't like this part. You know.
Yeah,
so I'll take that whole section out.
So you know what I'm thinking here is that I think that as you're doing this kind of groove on the end, and some maybe other parts of the song too,
and like you indicated, it's a remix,
right?
So that's Fat Pat, Trey, Trey the Truth, and I don't know who the other artist is.
So,
Screw it up, click.
so when you're doing this part, right, there should be some moments that you stop the repeating of the same thing. Let that instrumental breathe for a second, just like a brief moment, and then come back in with it, you know? So it's like maybe you do 3 of them, and then there's like one you don't do, and then you come back with another 3 more, you know? Like that's kind of my feeling on it, because it's just, it gets really redundant, repetitive, you know, kind of thing.
But honestly, me knowing like the H-Town sound, how they that's more like that's their
what
thing.
they do.
Yeah, and then you know I'm surprised I don't hear no chops in there, because they definitely be chopping and screwing, boy, everything.
Well, yeah, you know, really cool, interesting production. I love hearing your stuff, pushing. If you work on it a little more, come send that in if you make a bunch of changes, or send us just something else next week. You know, I know this dude, he's American, but he's in South Korea right now.
Oh, oh wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like,
shout out Pashane.
yeah, he comes in like a lot of weeks, you know. And all right, I think this is gonna be the final track, and I'm very sorry, Just Say, like I know you produce great stuff, but eventually I gotta get home to my kids. Hopefully before they fall asleep, you know, because I haven't been there all day. So let's check this, you know.
I'm deaf, straight up.
That's still too loud. It's like a knot. I mean, you never know what's going to submit, you know. Here, you know what we'll do?
Let's just, yeah.
It's like fucking.
That's going to tear my AM here. So.
No, I'm just like. You know, it's gonna be one of those like it's, you know, so outside of like something I'll
the
play
death
a
metal.
you know?
You look at the picture.
Yeah, it's not kind of thing. I've seen it before. They're gonna tear out. It's a genre.
Man, I'm like,
Flashing before your eye.
Really in that hard thing. The new thing is, I'm not sure if it's like, you know, sometimes you have songs like this and it's like, it's abrasive, it's not the style.
That's the style,
like,
but
it's like they might have like a favorite artist that does this, and they're like,
yeah,
maybe
there's
they're
definitely stuff out here like that, but I'm just seeing how it's definitely very abrasive. Like I had to
right. Yeah,
I have a nightmare later on night that sound.
I'm finding that, you know, your breakdowns are nice. I'm not, you know, it's going to be hard for me to give accurate feedback, right? Because I'm not a fan of I'm not somebody, nothing, this isn't something I would ever listen to. I mean, not this track specifically, but just tear out. I don't listen to it. So I'm not exactly sure, you know, what you know, yeah, it seems like it's clipping. It's harsh. That's where I'm at. I couldn't wear headphones. Neither could Dagwood. You know, we both took the headphones
I
off
had to take them off, y'all.
because like, and I think that you're probably driving the limiter too hard, even if you want a distorted effect here. You know, I don't know how you're
I
making
could see it working if it was just dialed back a little bit.
So I
It
mean,
was
my
just
thought is
right
like
up
I
there.
using a distortion, but then not clipping in the master.
It
you know,
definitely sounds like it was in the red.
yeah.
know?
It's like, and you know, a lot of these guys, it's like, well, that's like they think that's what they're supposed to do. You know, that's how they're. And there's other ways to get your clipping distorted sounds without pushing the master limiter.
Yeah.
You know. So I think that, you know, I don't know what the technique that a lot of this genre uses, but I'd see if maybe there are other ways you could get that kind of distortion that you like, that feels aggressive with less clipping. You know what I'm saying, you know?
It's hard for me to give feedback on that one too.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, you guys in the comments, you can give different feedback than me. I'm not the person to review this. Let me say that, you know, and I think it's clipping too much. I think that kind of it has just like so much harshness that it kind of doesn't feel full. It feels hot at the highs and then it's got lows, but there's like not a lot in the middle, you know, and that feels empty to me. And I would wonder if even if you are cloning the style of your favorite artist and doing it dead nuts on, you know, let's say this is exactly what you wanted to make and you're doing it like perfectly for the genre. I challenge you to take what you've learned from this genre, take what you like from this genre, and maybe like see if you can add something to it. If maybe you can grow the genre with your next, you know, release, right? You know, if you get some mids in, maybe people will realize that, oh man, Terra, great with mids, you know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I and these are just wild thoughts, you know. Again, I'll go right back to our intro disclaimer where, you know, this is a feedback show. You know, if you don't want feedback, don't submit, right? And I don't know everything.
It's all constructive.
You know, it's like I'm just trying to be helpful. And if it's not helpful, you can leave it at the door. It's not gonna hurt my feelings because I'm here to help, right? We've had a really great show today. I really thank you, Dagwood, for coming in and spending time with us, helping all these people tonight. I'm sure they all enjoyed a few stories, you know, from a house legend. Sure. And we'll be back next week on Thursday, simulcast on RetroSynth. We're back, baby. And so I love you guys. This is something, it's an honor to do this, you know, because it helps me too. I become a better producer every time I come in here and I like listen, you know, because often we don't do enough listening, and it's so much easier for me to give feedback on stuff I'm not attached to. And sometimes I have this little background voice when I'm producing, and it's like me, I imagine me in the feedback stream listening to it, right? Yeah. And I'm like, what advice would I give somebody else? Yeah. And then I can access that, you know, a little bit of that, you know.
But in this situation, both of us were very honest, and not, you know, not in a disrespectful or discouraging way. We just we don't know, tear out. Yeah. And then the only thing from a technical, evaluation is that it's clipping. It sounds too much like it sounds like it's in the red. Yeah. You know, so.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Oh, you know, and
keep up the good work, though.
You've seen it. Yeah, definitely. Don't stop producing here. Like, I think you obviously have learned a lot of skills, and there's places you can go. Yeah.
Nice meeting you too, Ben and Grid. You know what I'm saying? If anybody's interested, I'm on Instagram, at DJ Dagwood Music. You know what I'm saying? Follow me, I follow you back. You know,
Awesome. Yeah.
But thank you for having me.
Dagwood,
Music. Yeah. So
Yeah. All right.
Alex Lightspeed, Deformity.
Hey,
Thank
guys.
y'all for having me. I appreciate this, and this
We'll
was a
have-
learning,
we'll-
and
we'll
we're gonna
have
do
you
this
back.
again. We're gonna
Yeah,
do this
we'll
again.
definitely do
All
this
three
again.
of us together.
Yeah, dude, I'm happy to
Yeah.
set up a third mic anytime. We like to keep it interesting here.
Yeah.
And thank you, Memory Design, Bending Grid, Pashang, Craig, Pac-Man Hero. It's always good to see you around. My
Kojak?
Kojak.
Yeah.
You know, we had. Look, I can't remember everybody. Just Sale, we'll get you next week. And Rising Field, you did it. You did it. You know, my partner Lexi came in and said,